Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you.
Hey guys, it is Casey with Accidental Homeschoolers. If you are new to my channel, I'm a homeschooling mom of two. I'm a former teacher and I love to share everything about homeschool and our crazy lives. So today's video is a Q&A with a homeschooled homeschool mom. That's kind of a mouthful. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So Sarah and I have been friends for about 4 years, I think it's been 4 years. So originally when I first started homeschooling, I had no help. I just kind of decided on my own, we're gonna homeschool. We jumped right into it, and it was about 6 months in that my husband finally came home and he said, you know, one of my coworkers, he and his wife are going to homeschool, and they were both homeschooled. And I was like, really? I have so many questions for them. So I had actually met her husband first and asked him a lot of questions. And then I met her several weeks after that and asked her all kinds of questions about how she felt about being homeschooled, why she was homeschooling now, why she wanted to homeschool, did she feel, I just had a million questions. So I asked her all those questions many years ago. She was a huge help with my decision because I was struggling with it. I kept thinking, you know, gosh, am I doing the right thing for my child? I wasn't sure. So after having many conversations with her and having fellowship and having her encourage me, I knew I was making the right decision. But in turn, I was also able to answer a lot of her questions about like curriculum and just teaching and things like that from my life experience. We were able to merge both of our experiences together and we were able to help one another. So I thought I should ask her these questions and I should have her answer them so that you guys could hear her answer. Now, not everybody's friend wants to be filmed, so I am so grateful. Most of the time people run away from it. They want nothing to do with it. But I am so grateful that she decided to do this for me. And I hope that her answers are encouraging and I hope they answer some of your questions. So let's get started. First, I want her to introduce herself to you.
So hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I was homeschooled K through 12 and I'm married now and I have 4 kids. I had 4 kids in 5.5 years, and this year I am homeschooling my 3 oldest. My third, he's 4, it's just pre-K, I don't really count that. But when I'm not doing schoolwork or laundry, I like to read a book that is something I want to read and not school related, and I really enjoy working out.
So I actually decided to split her answers up into 2 videos. So today you will get part 1 and Thursday you will get part 2. I didn't want it to be like a super long video. I wanted to give you some good solid chunks but not like overwhelming. All right, question number 1. Why do you homeschool? This is a tough question. This is a question I love to ask everyone because their answers are all different.
It's what I'm used to. I was homeschooled K through 12. My husband was homeschooled K through 12. It is more normal and natural for us to wake up and sit at the kitchen table and do school with our children than putting our children on a bus, to have someone who we met for a couple hours at a meet the teacher, you know, class, and let them shape and mold my child. I want to mentor and guide my child spiritually. The ultimate goal for my children is for them to serve Christ. You're not going to get that in public school. I want to build godly character in them. I can do that through homeschool. Another reason is the one-on-one tutoring that you ultimately get with homeschooling. It's easier for a child to master a subject and fully understand a subject with one-on-one tutoring, which is what they get with mom versus what they get in the public school. I don't know what they get in the public school. I've never been. I can't tell you. But my children fully understand and master subjects before we move on, so they're not playing catch up, or they're not struggling when we're building on concepts that they don't fully grasp, because we have to move forward, because everyone else in the class understands fractions, but because you don't, we have to keep moving forward. Now we're going to do decimals and percents. You can't do that unless you understand fractions. I also do it for the flexibility. Homeschooling it's beautiful in that my husband does not work normal job hours, and we move around a lot. Sometimes when we're living in one state, he works shorter hours. We move to another state, he's working longer hours. If my husband happens to come home at 2 in the afternoon and he's done for the day, we can just stop doing school if we are still doing school at that time, which we usually aren't. But like if we were, we could stop doing school. We could go do something fun as a family, or just hang around the house and just spend time with Dad, when if they were in public school or Christian school, they wouldn't be home for like another 2.5 hours. That also results in stronger family units, because you're around each other all the time. You're there helping your child conquer a subject. This last one is no masks. Your kids don't have to wear a mask at home. I'm just going to leave that right there.
Question number 2. Did you always want to homeschool? I know for me, the answer is no.
So yes and no. My no being, I saw my mom homeschool myself and my sister in the 90s, and I just knew what a time commitment was, that it was a lot of work, and I guess that was really the reason I didn't want to do it. But my answer was also yes, because really by the time I got into college, I saw that firsthand that I had gotten I had received a really good education, and I saw how, on average, most people I met who had been in public school, their education was lacking in some aspect of it.
Question number 3. What curriculum do you use? Everyone wants to talk about curriculum all the time. What are you using? What are you using? People ask me all the time. I ask other people because I'm so interested. So I thought you might like to know what curriculum she's using.
If you can't physically touch the curriculum and open up a book and see what it looks like, you kind of are just, feeling around in the dark for something. A lot of my friends who are teachers say that sometimes is the hardest part for them when they decide to leave the public school system and homeschool their children, is to pick out curriculum. What I use is I use Matthew C. I did that growing up, which is one of the reasons I use it. I really liked it. I do Easy Grammar. I also did that growing up. I do Apology of Science, the Exploring Creation through Zoology for elementary students. We just started it. I have no experience with their elementary program, but I did their high school science, and it was excellent. So that's why I went with Apologia, and we are in the 2nd chapter already, and we are really enjoying it. I do All About Reading for reading and All About Spelling for spelling. For history, I have yet to find a history program that I can rave about. My mother also said the same thing, and she homeschooled for 15 years. I had a friend who had Not Grass's Our Star-Spangled Story, and I looked at it, and from what I saw, it looked pretty good. Good enough that I decided to buy it, and we will be doing that the second half of our school year this year. So I never do science and history at the same time. I do science one half of the year, history at the other half. My children decided they wanted to do science first, so we are doing science. Haven't started history, but I'll let you know what I think of it. And I very, very loosely do classical conversations. I just do the memory work. I don't do the community day. I don't do their science experiments. I just have my children memorize. We haven't started CC yet, but I make them memorize the memory work simply because they just pick it up so quickly. But overall, as a whole, I do not like the CC curriculum.
All right, question number 4. How do you homeschool differently than your mom homeschooled you?
I'm a very rigid, militaristic person. I love schedules. I thrive on schedules. But my schedules, I do have some flexibility. My schedules aren't, I'm not so rigid that if at 9 o'clock we're supposed to start school and it's 9:05 and we haven't started, I'm not like having an anxiety attack. But my mom was a lot more flexible about it. She didn't care what time of day we woke up. I was a morning person, so half the time I had half, if not all, my school done before my sister woke up. My mom didn't care. She was incredibly flexible. There's a lot of advantages to being super flexible. I think she probably had a lot less stress in her life with homeschooling because she was more flexible than me. I was an unmotivated learner. I didn't really enjoy it. If I could have been outside playing or riding my bike, or playing with my dog, that is how I would have opted to spend my day, not doing schoolwork, not doing book work. So with my mom being super flexible, not every day looked the same, and that I didn't like that because I wanted to know when the end was, when I could go do what I wanted to do. But it did allow, if we were reading something for my mom being that flexible, if we wanted to pull out the encyclopedias, if we were reading a story and it mentioned cholera, and my sister and I asked, well, what is cholera? She'd pull out the encyclopedia, and then we'd do an hour-long deep dive on cholera and diseases and vaccines and learn all about that. But then that means we probably wouldn't have tackled science or something the same day because we had taken this hour-long deep dive down a rabbit trail. My mom also did a lot of unit studies. I don't do a lot of unit studies, mainly because even though they are so much fun for the kids, they are so much work for the parent. My mom only had 2 kids, and my sister and I were 22 months apart. So at elementary age, if it wasn't math and reading, we were pretty much doing the same level of work. I have 4 kids, they're 5.5 years apart. I'm not going to be able to do that as easily with all 4 of my children and still make it challenging enough as my mother was able to. Also, I have 4 kids, so I have twice the amount of laundry, twice the amount of people to feed, twice the amount of people to clean up after as my mom. So that's another reason I don't do unit studies. That being said, I loved doing unit studies. I can remember crazy stuff from the unit studies we did. I remember doing a unit study on ancient Egypt, and my sister and I learned and memorized the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, and we would write letters to our friends in them and send them the decoder so they could read what we had wrote to them. It was a lot of fun. So unit studies really are a great way to make learning fun, and it really does stick with the kid. It's just a lot of work. And right now, I'm devoting a lot of aspects to my children and their education, mainly in music right now, and I don't have the time to develop my own unit study for my children, so that's why I don't do it. My mom and I use some of the same curriculum, but as I said before, my mom was a lot more relaxed than I am. She took us on a lot of interactive adventures. We would read so much. And if we read and discovered something in the story we were reading and we wanted to learn more about that, we'd go to the library and get out books on that subject. Deep dives and rabbit trails happened all the time, and I think those are an excellent way to teach your children. Even now with the internet, because I was homeschooled in the 90s and we didn't have the internet till after 2000. So with the internet now, it's easier to do a deep dive immediately and not have to wait on the day you're going to the library or something. But I do think going to the library and getting out books so the kids are actually looking at books in their hands and not staring at a computer screen is I just think that's a lot better and more advantageous.
First, I want to thank Sarah for taking the time to answer all of my questions and to sit down and film herself doing it, because that is not easy at all. If you have any other questions for her, please comment below. I will compile a list. We'll make another video, because I actually have a couple more questions I want to ask her that I didn't ask her in these 2 videos. So please comment below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed, please do. All right, I will see you in part 2. Bye.
Every change has a reason.